Hey gang, John here from Keys to Fun with another micro lesson. This week we're going to talk about playing the bass in a bit more of a traditional manner. Some of you have expressed some interest in learning how to do that on both the piano and the organ, so we're going to do that both ways today for you, once on the clavinova and then once on the Lowrey Inspire. You're going to get a bird's eye view of both of my hands playing on the clavinova, and the bass on an organ is actually played with the left foot, so you're going to see my left foot playing some pedals down there for the first time, and I will show you again how to create some bass tones even if you're either not using an easy button or a one-finger chord because you don't have one, or you've just decided to play it yourself. So let's go take a look and see how it's done. Okay, so we got a really great bird's eye view today. We're showing you pretty much the whole set of keys here because there have been some questions in regards to playing the bass. Now, the bass on a piano is a little bit different than the bass on an organ, but there obviously are some comparable features with them. So I'm going to start on the piano here, show you how to add some bass in while you're playing yourself. I'm not necessarily talking about using the rhythmic backgrounds. I know many of you have those, and obviously feel free to continue to use them. But this question was in regards to, if I am playing the piano, where does the bass come from and how do I appropriately add it into the song? Now, first of all, the bass comes from the bass section on the piano, which is furthest, the section furthest to the left here. Now, the bass on a piano is really like the bass on anything else. It's a really low pitch tone, which does not sound good when it's played together with other notes. In other words, if I'm playing the bass, I'm not going to play 3 or 4 notes down here, because if I do, it's not going to sound really good. 3 or 4 notes sound good up here, but it doesn't sound good once you get down into this range here. And that's an important thing to remember, so that when a piano player is playing bass, they usually do one of 2 things. Either they play a single note, or they double up the notes by playing an octave. Okay, now that's an important thing to realize, the octave here, because if you're familiar on your organ with the 8 and the 16 foot bass tone, well, that's basically an octave difference. You have one bass tone, and then you can go way down to the other one, and you can get a really full sound. So figure the 8 is 1 key, the 8 and 16 are 2 keys. Now I'm going to play a basic simple waltz for you, because a waltz is the best type of music to practice learning how to play the bass for the first time. So essentially what happens is you have to know the notes in the chord. So if I'm playing a C chord, the notes in the C chord are C, E, and G. That's the whole C chord. Again, I'm not using any of the help that I normally would this week. I'm playing it traditionally. So I have my C chord here. Now, a waltz is produced with a bass tone on the first beat, and then a chord on beats 2 and 3. So what I would do with a C chord in a waltz is I'd play a low bass tone for the C, and then I'd play 2 chords on beats 2 and 3. Now that can be played in different inversions. For example, this is a little low, so maybe you play it like this. So, okay, that's E, G, C, but in a different order. Now, the interesting thing comes in when you get into the second measure, if you yourself are not changing your chord, okay? If you're not changing your chord, what is going to change is the bass itself. The bass is going to go, in a C chord anyways, from the C note to the G note. Now you could go down. Sometimes the going down sounds even a little bit better than going up, but either one would work fine. So what you do, I'm going to do this very slowly, is you play the bass tone. I'm actually holding that with my sustain pedal so that I don't have to leave my finger on it. And then the reason for that is my left hand is going to have to travel up in this range here to play the chord. It'd be one thing if I could just keep it here, but it doesn't sound as authentic. I need that bass to sound markedly different than the chord. So I'm going to do this very slowly. It starts out bass, chord, chord. And again, you could go up. They both sound the same. If you really become comfortable with this, sometimes you can jump back and forth between the octaves. You can go to the high, for example, in that case, the high G and then the low G. Really doesn't matter so much. It's really more up to interpretation. Obviously, I'm doing this without any sheet music, so the sheet music would often let you know how to do this. But this is kind of an off-the-cuff way of playing a bit more traditionally. Now, all of your chords would be pretty much the same way. So let's say I had a D minor. Well, D minor is D, F, and A. What's the low note? D. What's the high note? A. So I would do the same thing there. So I'd play my D for my bass, A. Now when you couple this in with the sound in the right hand, I'm going to try to do this very, very slowly so you can really focus your attention watching everything that I'm doing with my fingers here. It really makes it sound really nice. And this is a great thing to do if you're playing on an instrument that doesn't have styles, or if you do have styles and you want to make the song maybe a little bit more challenging for you, and you say, you know what, I'm going to try to play this in a bit more of a traditional way. I'm not going to turn the waltz on, and instead, I'm going to try to replicate it myself. Now, a metronome would be helpful because the rhythm has to be as accurate as possible because you're kind of timing everything else off of that. But again, removed from a metronome, you can really take your time, go slowly, particularly as a beginner. And I'm going to play a pretty famous waltz here. And I'm going to, again, play that left hand in a bit more of a traditional way, but very, very slowly so that you can hear how it all blends together here. So we're going to start out here with the C. Now, can you see how I didn't change my D minor chord for a couple measure there? And because of that, I played the note, bass note rather, and the chord a couple times over before I went back to the C. Now, what's the next part of the song? So we have an A minor chord, okay? And I don't have the sheet music in front of me, so I had to remind myself by playing it by memory for a second what that next chord was. So if I'm going through, just to review the steps for myself, it starts A minor. So I have the A minor, followed by the back to the D minor, then I have a G, and then a C. Now again, I have to remember, how about an A minor chord? A minor is A minor chord is A, C, E. So what's the low note? Go back to that D minor. Now how about that G? G is G, B, D. So I play the G. And there's my G chord, okay? So to take this again very slowly from the beginning now, we start out here. Here comes that A minor. G chord. how would this be done traditionally on an organ? Let's go take a look and find out. The infamous bass pedals. I find the bass on the organ to be much more difficult to play than a piano, simply because you can't see them, or at least you can't see them very well. I'm giving you this kind of odd shot here because you've already seen what I did with my hands, so I'm not going to focus too much on my hands. What I am going to focus, though, on, is these bass pedals. Now, if you're not familiar with these, this is C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. This has pedals that continue to go up, so I have more than an octave here. That's the high C, that's the low C. Most importantly, you have your 2 black pedals, your 3 black pedals, which are just like your 2 black keys and your 3 black keys. So what you're doing is you're taking what you did on the piano all the way down to the left, and you're playing them with your foot instead. So if I, for example, start here with a C, it'd be a C pedal, chords, G pedal, C, G, D, A, if I'm playing the D minor, just like that. The G would be, now again, I could go up or down. Then we have that A minor. Okay, so I basically make that decision whether I want to go up or down, but this bass section, these pedals, are the pedals the keys rather, all the way over on the left-hand side on the piano. So why don't we do the same thing on here, and we're going to be playing obviously our chords with our left hand, our notes with our right, and the pedal down there on the floor. Well, I hope you enjoyed our lesson this week. I know that many of you probably have a feature that will play the bass for you, but again, I'm not sure if you all do or not. I know most of our students do, but again, as I said at the beginning of the lesson here, there has been some interest in what do I do if I'm playing on an instrument that doesn't have an easy button, or I know I can turn my easy button off. If I were to do that, what would that mean for my playing? So I'm hoping that this clarified that a little bit for you. Keys to Fun is both a Yamaha Clavinova as well as a Lowry dealer, and we are well equipped to answer any questions that you have on the instruments themselves. We are also more than willing to take suggestions for future lessons, so if you happen to visit our website, it's keystofunmusic.com. Not only can you subscribe to get future lessons there for free, you can also, in the chat box, make some suggestions for us to talk about specific things in the future. You can also visit our Facebook page. Just look in the search bar, type in Keys to Fun Music and Lesson Center. We should come right up. And you can try the old way of giving us a call at the studio. It's 401-277-9800. We're located at 1665 Hartford Avenue in Johnston, Rhode Island. And you can always come by and say hi at the studio. We'd love to see you. We have accessories for sale now. I mentioned these last week. One of the things that I forgot to mention is the Yamaha Clavinovas also have an expression pedal, so you can change your volume without having to touch a knob here. So we have those along with headphones and adapter jacks and USB sticks, keyboards, stands, benches. So we're expanding our accessories list by the week, and as we add more things in, as long as I remember, I will put them on here so that you know what our current list is. As I always say every week, I know your time is valuable. I appreciate you wanting to spend a little bit of it with us. I thank you so much. We'll talk to you soon. Have a great week.